Good morning. My name is Lindy Royer, and welcome to our World Mental Health Day Balanced Body Movement Experience. My name is Lindy. What I am is a human being, just like many of you, unless maybe there's some furry friends watching this morning or this afternoon or wherever you are. Maybe it's a different time of day. I'm also a physical therapist. I'm a certified Pilates teacher, and I'm a Balanced Body Master Instructor. A balanced body, we work to have a positive movement experience every single day because we believe that movement changes lives, especially mind-body focused movement. What is, do you think, mind-body movement? A lot of people define it as just a particular practice, Pilates, yoga, maybe something like Tai Chi. But mind-body movement is not the exercises or the things that we do or the methods that we use. It's actually something that focuses the mind, the body, the feels, the nervous system in a particular way. So it's not really about the exercises, it's about the awareness that we bring to it. It's about where our focus is going, where our intention is going. And even though a lot of times we'll say the mind and the body are connected, it's more than that. They're really interdependent, interrelated. The mind and the body and the emotions and the nervous system create a whole human being. So what we know about mind-body movement, about focused movement, is that it brings lots and lots of benefits to our mental, physical, and emotional health. Some examples are to decrease the feeling of stress and anxiety, to decrease the experience of depression. And because mind-body movement has a physiological impact, it also, through hormones in our physiology and our neural networks, it actually creates more of an experience of well-being. Practicing movement also helps us just feel more confident. And I feel more confident, I'm more likely to engage with the world. I'm going to hang out with my friends. I'm going to engage activities that I love to do. And I'm going to bring some more joy into my life just by practicing. So today, I'm going to guide you through a few mind-body movements that you can do anytime to improve your mental, physical health and to start to make a practice of improving how you feel. So grab a mat and join me. You can find more, by the way, which hopefully will end up in the chat at healthymindhealthybody.pilates.com. So before I get started, I'm just going to check my feed here and make sure that you're all hearing me okay. I think that you are. I don't see any messages. So let's get started. You'll see that I have on my mat here. This is a piece of balanced body equipment called a spine fitter. And you can use something like this, or you can use a rolled up towel, or you can just use your mat. So I have a towel here rolled up that you can also use. So I just rolled up a towel. If you put this in the dryer, if you're somebody that loves heat, laying on heat along the spine can just feel really soothing, comforting. So this is something that you could also use instead of something like a spine fitter. So we're not here to sell you any pieces of equipment that you don't need. Hang on, I'm getting some messages here, so I'm just going to check to make sure before we get started. Great. Okay, so as I was saying, what's really helpful is to give ourselves something soothing to do before we do movement. So again, I'm going to use this lovely little spine fitter that we have at Balanced Body, and it has a sleeve that goes on it that is filled with linseeds, actually, and you can stick this in the microwave. It's quite amazing. But if you don't have that, just do a rolled up towel, perfectly okay. So you're going to lay yourself down on your back. And the first thing that we're going to do is just tune into our breath. So lying on your back, you can place your arms down by your side, or you can just have them lightly resting on the abdomen. I actually love to have them rest on my abdomen because then I can feel what's happening with my breath. And we're just going to do this for a couple minutes. So you're going to take just take a little inventory. Where am I right now? Do I feel the body on the mat, or do I feel the body on my spine fitter, or do I feel the body on my towel? And then with the hands on the abdomen, just begin to take a few slow, deep breaths in and out through the nose. I'm turning my head so that I can see you, or imagine that I'm seeing you. You're just going to keep your eyes, your face focused on the ceiling. If you'd like to close your eyes, that's totally okay. And just take a few slow, deep breaths in and out through the nose. We now know that physiologically nose breathing has some amazing benefits. So I encourage you to learn to breathe more and more in and out through the nose if you can. And as you're lying here taking a few slow, deep breaths, see if you can allow the abdomen to rise on the inhale and fall on the exhale. So abdominal breathing or belly breathing is natural breath. If you watch a baby sleeping, their little tummies are going up and down with their breath all the time. There's a lot we can learn from babies and children, and breath is one of them. Also notice as you're doing your breathing, where do you focus? So one of the practices about mind-body movement and mind-body practices are that we want to just allow the thoughts, allow the feelings to just be whatever they are. But then instead of judging them, oh, that was a bad thought or that was a good thought, just allow it to be there. Just accept it. Just allow the thought to be there. So if you notice anything going on in the body, or if you're judging the way you're breathing, just do your best to let it go through you. Just let it pass. And notice that as you take these deep breaths, you may feel as though the nervous system is calming. So breath has an amazing calming effect on the nervous system. And once we calm the nervous system, then we can start to direct our thinking a little bit more easily. You know, when the mind is just racing, and you're feeling anxiety or you're feeling anger or whatever you're feeling, there's really not much else that could be there. So calming the nervous system is our first step to healthy mind-body movement. Next, you're going to take your arms down by your side. You're going to take your feet as wide as you feel comfortable, still keeping the knees bent, the feet flat on the floor. Eyes are looking up toward the ceiling. So now with eyes open, you can stay on your towel or your spine fitter or whatever you have, by the way, or you can just stay on your mat. I'm going to stay on the spine fitter for now until we move into the next movement. And then you're going to simply take the knees to one side. So I'm taking my knees to the right and allow the pelvis to follow. And then take the knees to the left and allow the pelvis and the hips to follow. Can you do this movement and coordinate it with the breathing? There's no right or wrong way to breathe here, but just notice, do I feel pretty good if I inhale to take the legs to the side, for example, and then exhale to take them to the other side? That's an option. Or taking the knees one side and inhaling and then exhaling to come back to center, and then inhaling to go the other way. Also an option. Once you get that rhythm, see if you can then turn your head to the opposite direction. So as the knees go right, the head goes left, and vice versa. And again, I'm going to stay facing you. And then take the knees one direction and just let them hang out there. Notice maybe that the shoulder girdle works a little bit differently when you're just hanging out on one side, especially if you have something underneath you like I do. It takes a little bit more work, a little bit more effort to maintain the position. And then knees go the other way. and then turn the head. So again, you're going to turn your head opposite. I'm just staying focused toward the camera. And notice how this feels. Begin the rhythm again one more time. So when the spine becomes a little bit stiff, sometimes this happens just with feeling anxious or feeling angry or feeling depressed. The spine tends to get a little bit stiff. And the organs and the tissues in our torso also get a little bit stiff. So rotation is a really great way to just bring a little bit of healthy movement into the spine, into the trunk, and into the organs. I'm going to take my spine fitter out now. And we're going to go into a little bit of a coordination challenge. So you're still lying on your back. You're going to bring your feet a little bit closer together, maybe just inside the shoulders. Arms are going to be down by your side. And this is a breath movement coordination. So as you take a breath in, can you float one arm and the opposite leg up together? And you want to finish in this relatively vertical position. So the knee isn't coming into the chest, the arm's not going over the head. Just do your best to stay relatively vertical. You'll notice when I do it, I don't stay perfectly vertical, but that's kind of where I'm aiming. So I'm just training my mind to notice where I am, and can I control my movement to stop where I tell it to. And then lower the arm and the leg down, and then do the opposite. So I'm going to do right leg, left arm, and then lower. And then left leg, right arm, and then lower. And then coordinate with your breathing. So maybe it feels good to you to inhale as the limbs come up and exhale as they go down. If that's the case, do that. If it feels better for you to exhale as the limbs come up and inhale as they go down, do that. There's no right or wrong. What sometimes starts to happen when we do something like this is we go back into that thing that I mentioned before, judgment. Ooh, I'm not very good at this, or, oh, that was a good one, right? Either way, do your best to just be in the experience of the movement and just be aware of what's happening. Oh, this feels a little shaky, or in my house, we call it dodgy. Ooh, that was a bit dodgy. So if it was a bit dodgy, that's okay. You know what happens? The more you practice, the less dodgy it gets. So just keep breathing and continue just gently floating the limbs up and down. So one of the things that is important about my mind-body movement is it's not necessarily super strenuous, right? You don't have to fully exert yourself. It can be, but more importantly, we want to do just these fairly simple movements. It might get a little more challenging soon, but movements where we can focus, concentrate, notice what's happening in the body, be aware of what our patterns might be. Again, without judging them, just be accepting of whatever is there for you today. It might be different tomorrow. It might have been different yesterday. Change is inevitable, as we know. Now, add your head. I'm going to turn my head to the arm that's coming up, and then lower the arm and the leg down, and then opposite. So again, I'm going to stay focusing toward you. So as my left arm goes up, I'm going to turn my head to the left and the right leg comes up, and still coordinating with the breathing. So can you maintain this precision of the breathing, the movement, and pause. And then just notice how you feel. We're going to change position and come onto all fours. So before you move, decide how you're going to get there. So again, I will refer you back to children. This particular experience is a lot like what we did as kids, right? How did we learn to walk? We crawled first. So we're going to do some crawling. So just decide how you're going to move. I'm going to roll to one side and then just come up onto my hands and knees. If you're on a mat, depending on the space that you're in, you can crawl off your mat for this particular experience. I'm going to stay pretty much in the vicinity of my mat. But if you've got plenty of room, I actually encourage you to crawl all over the place with this one. So you're going to come onto hands and knees. And one of the things that I notice a lot in Pilates is we get on hands and knees. Yoga's a little bit like this too. And then we get all organized, right? We have to do it all perfectly and do it right. In this particular experience, you're not going to do any of that. You're just going to crawl around. So what you're going to do is just come to all fours and find a comfortable position. Now, what I love about this is if you tend to get a little bit of wrist pain or discomfort in the wrist, which quite often we do, this usually is really comfortable for people that have wrist issues, because you're not just staying on the wrist the whole time. So what you're going to do is you're going to crawl to the top of your mat. And again, I encourage you to go off the mat if you can, and then crawl backwards and go as far back off the mat as you have room to go. So you're just going to crawl back and forth and just notice how you move. How do you coordinate the arms and the legs? Is there a particular way that you go forward? Maybe you get forward and then you go, I'm not quite sure how to go backwards. I don't know that I've done that recently. Most of us have not. So just make it up. How might you go backwards? Maybe you do both arms and then you do both legs, or maybe you do opposite and diagonals, or maybe you do some variation. Just sort of let it go and explore the different ways that you could coordinate, the different ways you might move. Once you've got that figured out, you're going to start to go a little diagonally. So I'm not going to crawl off my little spot here, but just go diagonally side to side. And then imagine, this is also about perspective. If you were a kid and you're on the ground, you can't stand up yet, what can you see from here? The world looks a little different from down here, don't you think? So just start to imagine, oh yeah, if I were down on the ground all the time, what would I see? How would I see things differently? Perspective is really easy to change. We just have to come a little lower or go a little higher and our perspective changes. So what do you see from here? This is one of those things I sometimes do, and then I discover things under my couch that I didn't know were there. I don't know if you've ever done that, where you crawl down and go, ooh, I didn't know that was there. So just notice, what can you see? How do you see from here? Can you go side to side? So just crawling all around. If you're in a big space, use the whole space to crawl. And then here's your challenge. Can you go into a bear crawl? So you're going to float the knees up and see if you can still go forward and back, diagonal in both directions, and can you go side to side? So can you stay with the knees up and do the same thing? So that's your challenge. And then you're just going to take yourself back into a child's pose. Again, we've got lots of things we can learn from children. And tune back into the breath. So if you can't go into a full child's pose, you can put a blanket or a towel or a pad. So you go into your child's pose right now in whatever way you need to. If you can get your head down, go for it. You can also bring your hands under your head, or you can prop a block, a yoga block, or a towel, or something like that under your head. And then from this position, simply breathe. So stay where you are. I'm just coming up so that you can hear me. Just breathe. Taking some nice, slow, deep breaths in and out through the nose. As you inhale, perhaps you could imagine the breath filling the back of the ribs, sort of like inflating a balloon or inflating sails on a boat. Then as you exhale, maybe you can sink a little deeper into the floor. Again, if you can't do child's pose, just use pads, props, whatever you have to support the position, or you can simply sit. And now you're going to come up to what we think of as a half kneeling position. So I'm going to show you from both directions. You're going to bring one leg forward, and from the side, ideally you want to have the shin of the front leg and the thigh of the back leg relatively vertical or 90 degrees to the floor. If you can't quite do that, that's okay. Your back foot can be top of the foot down, or you can be tucked under, whatever's comfortable for you. So I'm going to show you this exercise from front on, and I'm going to also show you a couple of options. So you're going to bring one foot forward, take the hands behind the head, interlace the fingers. You'll just be able to see the elbows out of the corner of your eyes. And this is another breath coordination. It's another rotation exercise like we did on the floor, but now it's going to get a little bit different because balance is involved. So you're going to inhale as you rotate toward your front leg, and then exhale as you stay there. Inhale as you come back to center. Exhale while you're in the center. Inhale to your back leg. Exhale as you stay there. Inhale, come back to center. And then just continue. So once again, we're focusing on, can I coordinate the breath, the movement, the balance, and the focus. You also might notice that it feels different going toward your front leg versus what it feels like when you go toward your back leg. So what do you notice going toward that back leg that maybe was different from the front leg? So switch sides. I'm going to just show you a couple of options for this that you might want to play with. So you could use, so I'm just going to change legs also with you. So you could use something like a little weight. This is called a smart bell that, again, we have here at Balanced Body. So same thing, you're going to inhale as you go to your front leg. Pause there as you exhale. Inhale, come back to center. So now we're going to reverse the breath. You're going to exhale as you move. Inhale there. And exhale back to center. So this is just a little small weight that just adds a little bit of variety, a little different challenge to the exercise. As I said before, you don't necessarily have to go investing in all sorts of fancy things. Continue this movement. You can also just take a towel or hold a stick or a broomstick or a bar, a dowel of some sort, and do the same thing. So as you continue on the second side, do you have a preference in terms of the breath? So just notice, I kind of like the inhale to move and the exhale to pause. Or maybe it's the opposite. I like exhaling when I move and then inhaling on the pause. Either one is okay. Just notice that you have a preference. All is well. Good. Then you're going to lower yourself back down. And now we're going to come to a movement. This is really functional. One of the things that we know in terms of longevity, health, vitality is getting up and down from the floor without using our hands is actually something that has been linked to living to a ripe old age with vitality. So I'm all about that. I'm practicing this one quite a bit. So if you can sit cross-legged, sit cross-legged. If that's not your thing, I'm going to show you another way to do this. So I'll start you cross-legged. If you're able to do this, you're going to do 2 or 3 of these with each leg in front. So here's our focus. You're going to sit cross-legged. Can you come up to standing? Can you go back down with control? So that was my side that's a little more familiar. On your unfamiliar side, notice if you don't sit cross-legged on this unfamiliar side very often, it might feel a little different going up and coming down. So if you're able to do that, try 2 or 3 of those each way. Now, if you're not able to do that, you can come from the side. If you need to use your hands, you can. So come from a little side sit, come up onto your hands, and then use that same half kneel that we just were playing with to come up to standing. How many different ways can you think of to get yourself up and down from the floor? Maybe you come onto all fours and then go into that half kneeling thing. Maybe you need to use a chair or a wall. Totally okay. So coming from sitting to standing and being creative about it, really helpful. It changes our relationship to the ground, keeps us healthy and vital, And it's a really great way to play with being creative and using all of our joints. So now that you're in standing, we're going to do a little bit of balance. This one always makes me giggle because I am sometimes great balancing right off the bat, and sometimes I topple over. So we'll see this morning if I'm going to topple over or not. So take your feet about hip width apart. You're going to shift your weight to one side, and your arms can do whatever you need them to do. Once again, if you need to hang on to something, you can. Can you just float one leg up? So start with that. Put that foot down. Shift to the other side. Can you float the other leg up? Now you got that going. See if you can take the lifting leg a little higher. So I'll show you this one from the side. So can I take my right leg a little bit higher than I just was doing? So see how high you can get the lifting leg. Play with that. Now take your lifting leg, and can you take it out to the side and then down? And switch sides. Take it as high as you can, keep it high, take it to the side, and then down. High as you can. Now, if you really want to go for it, see if you can do circles with the lifted leg. Try maybe 3 or 4 on each side. So can you balance and then circle? I just noticed my heart rate's going up a little bit. Is yours? Maybe it's just me. And then come on down. Give the legs a little shake. Now this is one that I recommend if you have music. Put on some music that's about 115 to 120 beats a minute. I discovered the other day that Whitney Houston song, I Want to Dance with Somebody, that's around about the same. That's about 120 beats a minute, I think. And this is just a coordination exercise. It's also great to play with music. So just notice, we won't do music, and I'm certainly not going to sing to you because I didn't get those genes. But notice how low you can go and how well you can coordinate this movement. So you're just going to begin by stepping the foot to one side, one foot and then the other. And I recommend if you're going to take this one on with a song, a favorite song, do it for the whole song. So as you continue to step to the side, can you go a little lower? And can you go a little lower? And then can you connect the opposite elbow or the opposite forearm to the opposite knee? Now, see if you can stay low. Stay with me just for a few of these. How low can you go? And how far can you reach that opposite leg out? Stay low and reach, 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 reach. I'm imagining singing, music, coordination. I live in Colorado, so I'm also picturing I'm getting ready for skiing and hopefully not kicking too many of my props. 4 more, 3 more, 2 more, and 1 more. And then come on up. Give everything a shake. Give the legs a shake, the arms a shake. And then just pause. Arms are by your side. Now my heart rate's up. Maybe yours is as well. With the eyes closed, tune in. Slow the breath. Does the body feel alive? Where has your focus been for the last 20, 25 minutes? Have you been thinking about 5 minutes from now, tomorrow, yesterday, 10 years ago? If you've been present for yourself, with yourself, for the last 20, 25 minutes as we've gone through these movements, you just practiced a body-mind focus. If your mind was wandering, that's okay. Open the eyes. So if you notice your mind was wandering a lot, just keep doing these practices. There's more information on healthymindhealthybody.pilates.com. And we are here for you. We absolutely love mind-body movement, and we are all about expressing that in the world. I'm all about expressing that in the world. So I hope this has been supportive for you. I wish you well in whatever you're doing in the world, and look forward to seeing you again. Thank you for tuning in.